everyone again. Did we all do our homework last week? Did that go good?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So as we start every session, I just want to hear about how your week has been. So we're going to start with our highs and our lows. So I'll go first. So my high is that I might be studying abroad, and my low is that I have a ton of stuff to do, as I'm sure we all do. Okay, so Claudia, you want to go next?
Yeah. So my high is that I got accepted for a job. So
awesome.
I was like hoping like this to happen since like a month ago, and then I received the great news last night. And then my low is that one of my sisters get an injury, and then she's going to receive a surgery. Yeah.
My high is that school is almost over, and my low is because school is almost over, we have so much to do.
Yeah, I relate to that.
My high is that my teachers are all very like understanding and accept late work honestly, and my low is that because they accept late work, I have a lot of it and not very much time to do it.
I guess my highs and lows are like pretty similar to everyone else, but I'm really excited to I'm also studying abroad, and I'm really excited to go to Europe because I've never been. But my low is that there's just like seems like so much crammed in like a 2-week period, and like the thought of like doing all of that is just really stressful. But
Yeah, definitely sounds like a lot of us have a lot of stress because of school. We can definitely all relate to that. But congrats on your new job too.
yeah, congratulations.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about our social support systems. I'll kind of explain what that is, and we're going to create also a relapse prevention plan. So 2 like main activities, and then we'll kind of also review triggers and coping skills like we talked about in other sessions. We'll kind of dive more into that today and apply it to our relapse prevention plan and our social support system. So basically I'll start with kind of explaining like what social support is so we can best identify, are you okay? Okay.
I did that too.
So we can like best identify who or what gives us social support along our journey. So basically social support, as it says at the top, is help provided by either family, friends, groups, or communities. So it may not just be like your family, it can also be friends, communities. For example, like the Marian community may be like your social support system. And so there's a lot of benefits, as you can read there, like improving physical and mental health, life satisfaction, etc. So these will provide you with a lot of benefits on your path to sobriety, and I'll kind of help you guide you along that path. So do we have any questions about like kind of what social support is before we dive into this activity? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna give you about 4 minutes so we're gonna fill out this first page here, and then there's also a back page here, and don't go on to the relapse prevention plan. So we're first gonna do the social support worksheet first. All right, so you may get started. And I'll let you know when we have like 1 minute left and stuff.
So for the barriers,
Mhm.
is it like barrier 1, 2, and 3? I'm assuming they line up with like our support 1, 2, and 3.
It can
Or-
be any barriers. Yeah,
Oh,
not
okay.
just with 1, 2,
Like
3.
not just like the specific people.
Yeah, not with just any
Oh.
barriers that come in the way of you reaching out or getting
Okay.
that support.
Okay, got it.
We have about a minute left. Alright, is everyone ready? Okay, so we're gonna go around and share our answers, and how we'll do this is first we're gonna share we'll go by like each section. So not just everyone share everything at once, but we'll go by each section. So Emily, do you wanna start sharing the 3 people, groups, or communities?
Sure. So for the first support, I said my mom. For the second, I said my best friend from high school, Kaylin. And for the third, I put my church community.
Awesome, I'm glad you have those support systems.
For mine, I put my family, and I put you, and I put this whole group.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point to make, that in addition to all these people and groups we also have this group, and we all have great support systems here, and I'm always here for you guys, and I hope that you have support among each other.
I said my mother, my best friend, and the rehab center.
I said my family, my friends / boyfriend, and my professors.
Great, so it sounds like we all have similar supports of best friends, and you guys both said your mom, so that's really great for you guys to have that. And now I'd love to hear, so how these people or communities and groups provide you with social support. So let's go through how each of your support helps you with the second section. And Claudia, do you want to start us this time?
So for my family, I say like they always support me. Like I feel like they have my back. Like if something happen, I know it is going to be my dad and my mom like waiting for me to help. And then also like my sisters that are like my red friends. Like I can talk to them about anything. And then when I feel like mentally stressed or something, I use have a talk with them, and then I feel more relief. And then for my friends, I feel like I just have a few friends, but anytime I need something, they are always there for me. And then also like when I feel stressed, and then I just hang out with them, and then I feel like more, I don't know, like more stable, maybe like to keep going. And then for my professors, I say like they always have the answers for my questions. They're always like so helpful when I need something, and they don't give up. Like they still like make me to keep going in any situations, because they support me in the way that I can get successful in my life.
That's awesome that you have your family sounds like your main go-to. I can definitely relate to that too, and so my sister like my best friend too. So I'm glad you have that go-to, and that it like relieves you of your stress, and that you know you can always have that kind of backbone there. And yeah, it's not about the quantity of friends, but the quality. So I'm glad that you have a few like really good friends. That's good. So you really want to go ahead?
Yeah, so my mother, she really encourages me to keep going, and she has been very patient with me throughout this whole time, and she really listens to my struggles instead of like judging me so hard and being really tough on me. She's always just very patient, and she's very faith-based. She's very faithful, so she's always encouraging me to pray with her and stuff. And my best friends, like I've made new friends compared to like the old friends that I used to hang around with, and they're so much better, and they like really try to be there for me when they can, and encourage me, and it's more positive peer pressure than negative peer pressure. And the rehab center, I feel like it provides me a lot of support. Like my counselors, like the social workers, are always really there to meet my needs and like encouraging me along the way, because it's not an easy journey. So they've been a lot of help.
Yeah, it's definitely good to recognize that although this isn't an easy journey, it's important that we have these social support systems to talk with. And it's great that your family, you made a really good point of like, doesn't judge you, because who else feels like judged sometimes? Like if you're like, oh, you're an addict, that means you're this and that. Does anyone else feel like that way a lot? Yeah, that's definitely really hard. So it's good that you have that families rely on you. Know they won't judge you. That's a really great feeling. So thank you for sharing. Carissa?
I said my family helps me by providing me emotional support and by being around me every day, holding me accountable. And I put Aivry because she helps me by coming up with new ideas to prevent relapses and reminding me of all the good things I have. And then I put my group helps me by realizing I'm not alone and that we're all struggling with the same issue.
Yeah, you're definitely never alone. It's good to recognize that. And I'm glad that you also have me, and I appreciate that. So it's good. Emily?
I put my mom is always there to like listen to me and help me with my stress levels and mental well-being. She just like always supports me like in those ways, and then obviously like tangible needs, like she's always giving me whatever I need. My best friend, she helps me with like social needs, but also like emotional support, and like I can just talk to her about everything. And she like never makes me feel like she never judges me or anything, and so I really appreciate that. Then I put my church community, they help me like with my like spiritual needs and spiritual health, but like also that goes into like my mental health and mental well-being as well. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Sounds like we all have a good support system for like when you're mentally stressed. And then I know Shirley and Emily both said that like for spiritual needs too, so that's good that you guys have those reliable systems. And again, that you mentioned the no judgment thing, that's definitely important. I'm glad that we all will have that. That's good. Alright, so now let's go on to share our barriers. So Claudia, do you want to start?
So for the first, I put the time, because I know like in my family, my dad and my mom works, so I don't have like enough time to be with them, and to sit and talk about the situation with my addiction and the struggles that I have been with this like issue. And then I put the communication, because like I don't want like to give my parents like my problems because I always think like I don't know, like I don't want to overwhelm with them because I know they have their own problems. So I think like I don't have like too much communication with them because every time they ask how I feel, I just say I'm okay, I'm fine. I don't want like to really express myself with them because I don't want to worry them about me. And then for the third one, I put like maybe being shy, like a shy person, like it's a barrier for me because like I don't feel like too like I don't know like comfortable asking for help or asking a person how can I get off this addiction, and then I know this center is helping me a lot, and then I'm glad that I like get over the barrier of being shy and to came here to ask for help.
Yeah, I know it's definitely hard to ask for help because you know the first step is you have to recognize that you have an addiction, but you all coming here is like that first step to recovering for asking for help. So like, you know, you're doing like a great job so far by being here, and I know it's definitely hard, but we're all making like great progress. So we can definitely work to address those barriers.
For me, I'd say one of the biggest barriers would be like my mental health, because I feel like I get too much into my head, and I start to feel like a burden, and so I don't want to like bother my support system. And another barrier is like it's triggering to talk about certain things sometimes, because like a lot of my addiction was just due to like mental health and like suicidal thoughts and stuff, so like it's triggering to talk about these things sometimes. And another barrier is that sometimes I feel like others don't understand, because like it's mental health and it deals with addiction and like suicide, like a lot of people feel uncomfortable with that, so like talking to my support system, I don't want to like overwhelm them with all of my feelings and everything, and like, and if they don't understand, I don't want them to feel forced like they have to like understand what I'm going through.
Yeah, so I know you guys both mentioned like putting a burden kind of on others and people not understanding. Like, you know, sometimes all we need is like just an ear to listen, and even if they don't understand, like that would still be like a great help, as long as you get to talk with someone about, you know, your stress and such. And like, I don't understand how it feels or how it might feel like a burden, but you know, at the end of the day, like, as a listening ear is like, you know, so important, even if they don't understand. Or Chris, like, go ahead.
I put, for my first one, I put embarrassment, because a lot of the things I've done when I was on drugs are embarrassing. I'm ashamed of them. And then for my second one, I put afraid of judgment. Like, even though so far I haven't felt any judgment from my support groups, like I'm always afraid, like in the back of their mind, they're thinking like bad things about me. And then I'm also afraid of, if I keep talking about the same thing over and over again, I'm just gonna annoy my support system and they'll leave.
Right. Yeah, those are definitely very tough. And again, with the judgment thing, it's like definitely a hard thing. And you know, again, like it's definitely a big step coming here, and because you know this is a judgment-free zone, and out there it might be harder, but we can definitely just remember like the things we talk about in group and how we should feel comfortable, you know, going to others for help, and it will be beneficial at the end of the day. And we have these support people, you know, we can talk to and trust.
So I feel like a big barrier is trust, because I feel like, especially like with my mom, like I've broken like a lot of trust because of my addiction. Like it hasn't been intentional, and also like my dad like suffered from an addiction problem, so I feel like breaking the trust, and then just like continuing that cycle like on her and my family, it just makes me not want to like reach out, because I know like the pain that she's already like had inflicted on her. Like just like a realistic barrier is like distance. Like my parents like don't come like when I'm in high school, and I don't get to see them a lot. I don't get to see them or like my other like friends quite a bit, because they live like a little bit farther away right now, so like that's kind of hard. And then just like kind of like other people have said, I'm just like worried about people like judging me.
Yeah, it's definitely a similar struggle that we all have. And what is one way that you guys think we could like build back up trust if we lost it with someone? Anyone have any ideas? Carissa?
I think by just doing small things right every time, like just building back that bond, not trying to force it all at once, but just like showing progression in your behaviors and stuff like that.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
I'd say like trust, because like I know from my experience, I lied a lot about my drug use. So like just being honest with them and like Carissa said, just like really letting them in on our progress.
Yeah, I think those are great ideas. You know, building back up trust is hard, and like Carissa said, you know, just take kind of showing through your behavior, and like one step at a time, you know, you'll get there, and it might be a hard path, but yeah, by showing that progress, you know, you can definitely build back up that trust. Okay, so next let's kind of go through what specific steps could you take to better utilize your supports. So Emily, do you want to start with this?
Sorry, yeah. I think like I kind of mentioned it, but like trying to like have those conversations with my mom, like trying to like build trust with her again, like just like her trust that she has for like people in general, trying to have those hard conversations. Because like I think like Sierra said, honesty is just really important, and also like action is more prominent than words, so just trying to show her that. Make more effort to like see my friend, like the distance is like hard, but like I have a car, like I could be doing more as well. And then like when I'm like talking about like my church community, I think that I could be like reaching out more to like my priest, and like I mean he's like a priest, like, and he's like supposed to be like Jesus, so like Jesus never judged people. Jesus like took in everyone, like no matter what. So I shouldn't feel worried about like reaching out to those people, because if they truly see Christ in every person, then they should be able to help me. And maybe like through that, maybe I can get more involved in like my youth group again and stuff, and like go to regular confession, because I think that that will be like a really good thing for me, like in my recovery process.
Yeah, those are great steps. I think it's a great idea to kind of reach out to those systems you have, and if you would, you know, need help reaching out to youth groups, you know, you can always ask me for help too. Those are great steps.
For my steps, I think I can better communicate what I need from my support groups, like rather like letting them know if I just need them to listen, or if I need them to guide me, just telling them what I need. Another one would be to take advice, like if someone is giving me good advice, rather than just like letting it go one ear and out the other, try to really practice it. And then also speaking up when I need to, because I tend to keep things to myself, and I think that's what makes it worse, is bottling things up. So just really, when I need to speak, to speak.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because definitely bottling things up usually just causes more stress for us, and so it'll definitely be good to kind of speak up when you need help, just like we do here. So that's a really good step.
Yeah. I basically see the same thing, like for my mom, for example, like I don't call her as much, and like that distance thing is also a barrier, but like I think just like calling her more often and letting her know how I am, and maybe like with my friends, just like talk more about like how I'm feeling, so they can understand me more. And for the rehab center, just like let them know more about like my emotional needs, not just like physical needs, but like emotional needs and mental needs as well.
Yeah, that's really good. Just like they mentioned, to reach out more is like really important, really beneficial. It'll be good.
Yeah, two kind of the same things, like better communication, better expression of myself, like to let them know how I really feel, like to don't lie or don't pretend that I'm okay when I'm not. And then also like I will keep on showing up to this group center, because like I feel like this treatment is helped me a lot, and I think that it's gonna be like a big, I mean when we finish the sessions and the treatment, it's gonna be like a big step to connect better with my supports. And then
Yeah, those are really good too. Showing up here is definitely a good one, and communication, like multiple people mentioned, that's definitely important too, to communicate how you feel with your support systems, and you guys get that in return. Okay, so Now we're going to move on to our relapse prevention plan. So now that we've kind of talked about who or what we have as our social support system, this will kind of play into our relapse prevention plan. So as you can see, first we're gonna write out our main triggers and a coping skill to address each trigger. And if it's the same coping skill for like maybe 2 triggers, like that's fine, just whatever you do. And then next we'll kind of write out our 3 most helpful coping skills, which kind of just overall coping skills. And then back to our social support, so we're gonna talk about like our 3 go-tos. It doesn't just have to be a person, it could be maybe just your whole family or a community or a group. And then we're gonna go into consequences. So I'll give you guys about 4 to 5 minutes probably to complete this, and then we'll kind of go over it and share it together.
If you give me an example, like about a trigger and the way to work with this skill.
Yeah, so maybe if you're like friends are a trigger, like maybe you have toxic friends and that could be a trigger for using. And then a coping skill could be like to form an excuse before meeting with your friends so that you have a way to get out of it. Does that kind of help? Okay. So, outcome of relapse might be having to go back into a program, similar to this, or maybe like your relationship with your family is damaged more or something.
Oh, yeah.
And then you want sobriety too.
And so then, like, it would kind of be the opposite of like being like if I were to have to like go back into the program, but like outcome of sobriety would be like more freedom and like.
Oh, those can just be like any outcomes. Like they don't have to be like aligning or connecting.
Okay.
Just kind of any.
Okay. Like an outcome of sobriety could be like just like better health, like overall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like better physical health function.
Okay.
sorry, okay, yeah, sorry guys. So when you get to the end, the last thing is the the consequences thing. So don't move on to the next worksheet. Sorry, I should have specified that before.
It's okay. I like your glasses. I like your nails first.
One just broke off. Oh no. Yeah, I just put it in my pocket. Been a crazy hole. I need to get mine.
I got my loyalty.
Alright, are we all ready to share? Okay. So we're gonna start on the first page with the triggers and coping skills. And we're gonna have we're gonna go by each number. So if you'll share like your first trigger and then a coping skill to address that.
So my first trigger is just like boredom, like having nothing to do. So my coping skill, I really like using my hands, so like I could do crap or watch TV. And then my second trigger is like when my mental health goes down, I want to use. So coping skill is like continuing to like address my mental health needs, like taking my medication, like seeing my therapist, and also like having someone to like talk to, like when I feel like I want to use, like because of my mental health. Third, like having bad friends, like being around the wrong people. Like my coping skill should just not, like don't hang around those kind of people if they're like making me want to use. And then like going out to bars, because like I like had a fake ID and everything, so I would go out all the time, and so like don't hang out there, like going somewhere else, like maybe going to restaurants with my friends or something, but like I'm like 16, like I shouldn't be going to bars anyway, so.
Yeah, it's good that you can recognize that now. Those are all really good coping skills. I'm sure we have some similar ones out there. Krista, you wanna go ahead and share?
My first one was stress, and then my coping skills are taking things one step at a time and not trying to do too much at once. And then my second one is drugs being around, and my coping skill is learning to leave situations without needing to explain, and learning that not everybody needs an explanation. And then my third one is having a lot of cash on hand, and then my coping skill for that is putting my money in a joint bank account with my parents so they can see my transactions and hold me accountable.
Yeah, those are really good skills too. I'm glad you could come up with those on your own. Those are really good. Seriously?
So I also said like just like anxiety and depression. Like I have really bad anxiety, and that anxiety leads to depression. So I just say like also just like taking my medicine, but also like reaching out to my mother and stuff when I'm feeling this way instead of like turning to drugs. Another one would be like boredom, and so I'd say like find a new hobby or something that like keeps me distracted. Like when I started using drugs, I stopped like watching TV and like doing stuff like that. So like I think like I'm young, I'm 15, I'm like 17, so I think like finding a new show to watch, something like that. And people from my past keep coming back, so like setting boundaries or cutting them off would like really help.
Yeah, I know we mentioned boundaries in another session, so those are definitely important to establish. It sounds like so far, you know, like mental health is definitely a trigger, and so I'm glad we have come up with like some really good coping skills. I think you guys like have some great ones so far. Claudia?
Yeah, but like some similar. For the first one, I say like overwhelming and stressful situations, and the coping skill I will like try to find out my school counselor and talk to them about how I feel, and then because I know they are going to give me like some relief, and then the things that I can do instead of using drugs. I put all friends, and then I just for my coping skills I say like avoiding the places where I know that are going to be, so don't go into the places there used to be, so I don't like talk to them, and then don't use drugs. Okay, I put judgment, and then for my coping skills I just say like don't listen to bad statements about me, and then just go with a friend to talk about how I feel. And social pressure, and then I say like talking about like the struggles in this group, because I know like sharing helps me like to feel more comfortable with myself, and then to don't listen like the other people that didn't know anything about me.
Yeah, those are really helpful, and you definitely made a good point of avoiding like the places or the people that, you know, we used to have associated with drugs. That's a good point. So I know we all kind of mentioned like anxiety, depression, like mental health struggles overall. Did anyone learn like a new coping skill from another member that they could use for that?
Just making sure to stay on your medication. Sometimes I'll go off because it starts to work and I think I don't need it anymore, so I stop taking it. And I just need to learn to continue taking it.
Did anyone else learn a new coping skill?
What Carissa said about money, I didn't realize it, but like that's very true. So like having a big account with my parents, like just hold myself accountable, like that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's good. Feel free to write, you know, as many coping skills as you want on here if you hear, you know, new ones. Those are some good ones that we learned there. Alright, so now, alright, Emily, do you want to start us off with 3 most helpful coping skills?
Yeah. Number 1, crafts. I really like making rainbow balloon bracelets. It's a good coping skill for me. Yeah, I like using my hands. Talking on the phone to someone, I think like it's just a really good distractor, and like just being able to have that conversation. And then I really like taking really hot showers and listening to a podcast or a bath.
Yeah.
Should I put my support system as well?
Not yet. We'll go
Okay.
there next. Yeah. Okay, Carissa?
I put listening to music, walking my dog, and sleeping / planning my day out by the hour, and also just knowing that if it doesn't go exactly as planned, that's okay.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Not everything will go as planned, but it'll be okay then for sure. Seriously.
I said reading. I used to read a lot, and I want to get back into that. Praying or like going to church. I find like prayer is very like peaceful. And then I also said listening to music. I love listening to music, so I think like this would really help.
I say like playing soccer, go to Zumba classes and dance, because I really like to dance, and go for a walk, like just with myself or my sisters.
Good. Yeah, those are some good coping skills, guys. And I know we already like talked about this in some previous sessions, but I think it's good to kind of review this and keep it in our relapse prevention plan, so we can always kind of be reminded of those and of what our other group members say, like new ones we may have learned. So who are our three go-to people? So Claudia, do you want to start us?
Yes, sure. I say my sister, you guys, this group, and my school counselor.
I said my mom, my best friend, and like I said Aivry / like this group member.
I put my counselor, my group members, and my family.
I put my mom, my church, and then I couldn't choose three, so I put my best friend Kaylin and the group.
Awesome, yeah, definitely fine to have more than three. Okay, so now we're gonna kind of touch on the outcomes of relapse and outcomes of sobriety. So kind of examining some consequences of each, like after we leave group, what it might look like. So Emily, do you want to start us out with outcomes of relapse?
Yeah, so having to like go away from my family again, like I'm really far away from home right now, and that's like been really hard on me, and I want to be able to live with them again. A decline in my health overall, like worse physical and mental health, and then not being able to like pursue that education that I want.
Definitely some. Krista?
I put like health problems and even death, embarrassment, feeling of failure, and I might not be able to get out of the cycle again. Like I feel like if I go back again, I won't be able to get myself out.
Yeah, it's definitely a scary feeling of like might not be able to get out, as long as we kind of keep in mind like these coping skills and social support systems, like you can get there. Sincerely.
We're only talking about the relapse. Right?
Yeah, just relapse first.
Okay, so I said like having to be away from my family, that's hard now, and so I don't want to go through that again. More mental health issues and like not meeting my future goals.
Yeah, also full mental health, like anxiety, depression. Starting again, it's like I don't want to do that because I feel like I have been working a lot to get to this level of sobriety, and then I don't want to start again and lost trust again in my family and my friends.
So we definitely have some similar outcomes there with the friends and mental health and that cycle that we hope to get out of, sure. Alright, so now let's go through the outcomes of sobriety on the brighter side. So Emily, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so just like better health overall, like again, like mental and physical, just if you're not using recreational drugs, you're gonna be healthier. That's just a fact. Better relationships and like better trust with like just everyone in my life. And then I can like further like my future plans of like going to college and like becoming like a social worker, so I can like help like the people that have like helped me in my life. I want to be able to do that. So.
Yeah, those are great. Krista?
I said a long life, proud friends, family, and I'll be proud of myself, and having a clear mind, getting more things done, and saving money.
I said being with my family, getting a stable job, and going to college.
Awesome.
And I say a healthy life, a better connection with my support system, and feeling proud of myself.
Yeah, those are, you definitely will feel proud of yourself. Those are really good ones. I know we all kind of recognize like school, that's a good one, and our family and friends, and better overall mental and physical health. It's good that we kind of recognize that that's a major important outcome of sobriety. So I know you guys see these two other pages, but so what I always want you to do for homework is take home this sheet that has a list of when I'm tempted to use. It's kind of just a review thing of triggers, or you may kind of find out triggers that you may not know you had. So I want you to kind of go home and do that. And then there's also this last page of tips for avoiding relapse. I want you guys to read through this and read through it. After you do these things by yourself, these two worksheets, I want you to go to your sponsor or to any of those people we talked about in our social support systems and kind of like review them with those people so that they kind of know, like, they're aware of your triggers and etc. And overall, you can just go through the whole relapse prevention plan with them so that your sponsor is aware of that and your kind of like go-to people that we talked about. So today we kind of talked about that social support system and people or groups, communities that we can go to, and created our relapse prevention plan, which will always be important to kind of look back if you're ever struggling or reminded of triggers and social support systems and stuff. Does anyone have any questions from today about what we talked about? Okay, so we're meeting the same time here next week, so I hope you guys all have a great week, and don't forget to take home those 2 worksheets.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Aivry.
You're welcome. Oh wait, the feedback thing now. So,
Are there specific questions? My only feedback would be to maybe like allow a little bit longer time to fill out the sheets,
okay.
and then choose like 2 to share. So then like
Yeah,
they can like
you're
fill
right.
it out and then like
Okay.
choose, like each person can choose 2, so there's like more time like filling it out, but then like a little bit less share time, but people can still like relate to each other. But that's like the only thing.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right there, because it was kind of going on long. I was like,
That was
So, yeah.
okay.
okay, thank you.
I think that just you did good about just talking back with everybody. You had good responses to what
Yeah, it
people.
was really good.
Like that's what I'm afraid of in mine. Like I'm afraid of some. I'm just gonna be like.
But like some of that will like come naturally, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it feel like as you went, like it was easier than it seemed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think sometimes I went too long, but
It's gonna be a long
Yeah.
thing.
but yeah, it got easier though.
I say the same thing, or just like allow people to
Sorry. Sorry, it's great.
to like allow people to think more, because like some of these questions like are
Like,
really,
really
like,
intense.
hard and intense. It's, like just allow more time to think. Like Emily said, like just share a couple things, or like and remind people that like some of the things that we talk about can be triggering. So like take your time, or like don't be forced to share. I think like if you say that, because like a lot of these questions are hard, so just like
Okay.
remind people that they shouldn't be forced to answer.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think you have like really helpful activities, and then because these activities really like make us think about like the support system, and then how we can approach them, and then how they are like helping us in the addiction treatment. And then I really like your responses and your reflections.
It also flowed like well with like the whole thing flowed well together, so it was very natural.
Thanks, that feedback's really helpful.